Mustafa Sari's favorite place is here, with the fishermen on Lake Van in Turkey. Every summer, they're allowed to cast their nets again after a 70-day break during the spawning period. The catch is good, but the nets haven't always been this full.
When I came here in 1990, fish stocks in the lake had been almost completely depleted. Thousands of fishermen came here every day and cast their nets. Some brought in tons of fish, and part of the catch could be sold on the market. What was left over, they simply threw away. It went on that way all year long, day after day.
Mustafa Sari is a professor of agriculture, and this is where theory meets practical application. Fearing they would lose money, the fishermen opposed the introduction of the waiting period. But the scientist persisted and was finally able to introduce an off-season from April to July. Populations have now recovered. If fish aren't protected during mating and reproduction phases, they die out. The women grasped the principle first. They supported Sari and convinced their husbands to comply with the regulation. Peace returned to the villages as the populations of fish recovered.
Before I came here, might made right. Only the powerful people in the village went fishing. The others had to stand and watch. My project helped put an end to this archaic system. Now there are enough fish for everyone. In this village, only 17 families used to be allowed to fish. Now everyone is allowed.
On an island in the lake, there's a church that's more than 1,000 years old. The image of a fish is carved into its walls. Sari says that this historic site is important to him and motivates him to continue his conservation work, reviving the fish population, promoting sustainable fishing.
This fish was carved in stone more than 1,000 years ago. Fish was an important food source for people even then. People respected the fish. I also have respect. When I drive home from work, I always think that the fish is something sacred.
Mustafa Sari is both a peacemaker and a man with a vision. But he says his mission isn't over. Some villages continue to refuse to comply with the seasonal limits. Here he finds evidence of poaching. Illegally caught fish in a shack. The fish are dried and salted, ready for sale. He finds the culprits right on the street. But he doesn't tell the police. Mustafa Sari tries to convince people that it's in their own interest to comply with the new fishing season. He argues with them, mediates, and creates networks. The scientist was raised on a farm, so he finds it easy to talk to people in the countryside. At the city of Van, Sari teaches at the university. Not long ago, he was financing the project out of his own pocket. But increasingly, the professor has received grants from international research funds aimed at promoting sustainable fishing. There's a market around the corner. This fish has been caught legally. The fishermen sell their catch to a street vendor. Cool water has to suffice for refrigeration. The street vendor hawks his wares. A kilogram costs around €2.
The fish that I don't sell, I take home, put in the fridge, and try to sell the next day. It doesn't keep longer than 2 days.
If it was up to the professor, the vendor would no longer be selling fish from his bicycle. He wants modern storage freezers and says fish vendors should have refrigerated vehicles. Mustafa Sari also meets with investors that want to modernize the fish business. He's lobbying for his friends on Lake Van.
The fish hawker and his bicycle are anachronisms. We don't want anything to do with that anymore. The vendor should buy his fish at a central market where the fish is stored in modern refrigeration facilities and take it on his routes from there. At the moment, poor hygiene means that he could be arrested by the police.
By introducing sustainable fishing, Mustafa Sari has managed to avert an environmental disaster and save thousands of people from economic ruin. His methods could serve as an example for people in other countries who rely on other lakes for their livelihood.